Tashmat Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Rupa Vishnu Vishnupad Ashtara Tashmat Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Rupa Vishnu Vishnupad Ashtara Tashmat Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Rupa Vishnu Mahabhagavat Srila Bhakti Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Rupa Vishnu Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nitil Vishnu Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupa Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dashaguna Shrada Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Di Shiva Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namachay Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से गौर श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व विश्व विराट गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंज श्याम कुंज की जय। श्री उन देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री ताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जना शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्री श्रीमद्भक्ति वेदांत नारायण नामिने। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिने नामिने। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिषे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तम् अनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव। पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तर्वो विनेदुस्तं सार्वभूत हृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। श्रीन्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्थो यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुरक्षितम्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवत्तुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणन्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीन अपराधलक्षय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Dandava Pranamas to Narayan Prabhu and Prajumna Prabhu and Raseshwari Mataji and Rukmini. Haribol. Okay, gotta excuse me if I'm a little, I don't know, I just went to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm just, there's a lot going on right now, so I'm a little bit unfocused. But anyhow, I'll try to do my best. Only 2 more days left. Tomorrow will be the day we finish the 3rd canto. I'm just going to jump right into it. So, activities of activities of Kapila. Maitreya Uvacha Evam Nishamya Kapilasya Vacho Janitri Sakardamasya Daita Kila Devahūti Visrastamoha Patala Tamabhi Pranamya Tushtava Vishayankita Siddhi Bhumin. Sri Maitreya said, thus Devahūti, the mother of Lord Kapila and wife of Kardama Muni, became freed from all ignorance concerning devotional service and transcendental knowledge. She offered her obeisances unto the Lord and the author of the basic principles of the Sankhya system of philosophy, which is the background of liberation. And she satisfied him with the following verses of prayer. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The system of philosophy enunciated by Lord Kapila before his mother is the background for the situation on the spiritual platform. Should be the situation, right? The specific significance of this system of philosophy is stated herein as Siddhi Bhumin. It is the background of salvation. People who are suffering in this material world because they are conditioned by the material energy can easily get freedom from the clutches of matter by understanding the Sankhya philosophy enunciated by Lord Kapila. By this system of philosophy, one can immediately become free, even though one is situated in this material world. That stage is called Jivan Mukti. This means that one is liberated, even though one stays with his material body. That happened for Devahūti, the mother of Lord Kapila, and she therefore satisfied the Lord by offering her prayers. Anyone who understands the basic principle of Sankhya philosophy is elevated in devotional service and becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated, even within this material world. Devahūti Ruvacha Atapya Jonta Salila Shayana Bhutendriyartatma Mayam Babuste Guna Pravaham Sarashesha Bhijam Tadyo Swayam Yajatarabjata. Devahūti said, Brahma is said to be unborn because he takes birth from the lotus flower which grows from your abdomen, while you lie in the ocean at the bottom of the universe. But even Brahma simply meditated upon you, whose body is the source of unlimited universes. Purport. Brahma is also named Aja, he who is unborn. Whenever we think of someone's birth, there must be a material father and mother, for thus one is born. But Brahma, being the first living creature within this universe, was born directly from the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Garbhadakshay Vishnu, the Vishnu form lying in the ocean at the bottom of the universe. Devahūti wanted to impress upon the Lord that when Brahma wants to see him, he has to meditate upon him. You are the seed of all creation, she said. Although Brahma was directly born from you, he still has to perform many years of meditation, and even then he cannot see you directly, face to face. Your body is lying within the vast water at the bottom of the universe, and thus you are known as Garbhadakshay Vishnu. The nature of the Lord's gigantic body is also explained in this verse. That body is transcendental and untouched by matter. Since the material manifestation has come from his body therefore existed before the material creation. The conclusion is that the transcendental body of Vishnu is not made of material elements. The body of Vishnu is the source of all other living entities, as well as the material nature, which is also supposed to be the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devahūti said, "You are the background of the material manifestation and all created energy. Therefore, your delivering me from the clutches of Maya by explaining the system of Sankhya philosophy is not so astonishing. But your being born from my abdomen is certainly wonderful, because although you are the source of all creation, you have so kindly taken birth as my child. That is most wonderful. Your body is the source of all the universe, and still you put your body within the abdomen of a common woman like me. To me, that is most astonishing." Sa eva vishvasya bhuvan vitatte guna pravahena vipakta virya sargadhyaniho vitata visantir atmeshvaro tarkya sahasra shakti. My dear Lord, although personally you have nothing to do, you have distributed your energies in the interactions of the material modes of nature, and for that reason the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation take place. My dear Lord, you are self-determined and are the Supreme Personality of Godhead for all living entities. For them you created this material manifestation, and although you are one, your diverse energies can act multifariously. This is inconceivable to us. Purport. The statement made in this verse by Devahūti that the Absolute Truth may have many diverse energies, although he personally has nothing to do, is confirmed in the Upanishads. There is no one greater than him or on an equal level with him, and everything is completely done by his energy, as if by nature. It is understood herein, therefore, that although the modes of material nature are entrusted to different manifestations like Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, each of whom is particularly invested with different kinds of power, the Supreme Lord is completely aloof from such activities. Devahūti is saying, although you personally are not doing anything, your determination is absolute. There is no question of your fulfilling your will with the help of anyone else besides yourself. You are, in the end, the Supreme Soul and the Supreme Controller. Your will, therefore, cannot be checked by anyone else. The Supreme Lord can check others' plans. As it is said, man proposes and God disposes. But when the Supreme Personality of Godhead proposes, that desire is under no one else's control. He is absolute. We are ultimately dependent on him to fulfill our desires. But we cannot say that God's desires are also dependent. That is his inconceivable power. That which may be inconceivable for ordinary living entities is easily done by him. And in spite of his being unlimited, he has subjected himself to being known from the authoritative scriptures, like the Vedic literatures. As it is said, Shabda Mulatvat, it can be known through the Shabda Brahma, or Vedic literature. Why is the creation made? Since the Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead for all living entities, he created this material manifestation for those living entities who want to enjoy or lord it over material nature. As the Supreme Godhead, he arranges to fulfill their various desires. It is confirmed also in the Vedas, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kamam. The Supreme One supplies the necessities of the many living entities. There is no limit to the demands of the different kinds of living entities, and the Supreme One, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, alone maintains them and supplies them by his inconceivable potency, energy. I need to focus my mind. Okay. Swatam Vrto me Jatarena Nata Katam Nuyasya Dara Etarasit Vishvam Yugante Vatapatra Eka Shete Smamaya Shishirangripana. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you have taken birth from my abdomen. O my Lord, how is that possible for the Supreme One, who has in his belly all the cosmic manifestation? The answer is that it is possible, for at the end of the millennium, you lie down on a leaf of a banyan tree, and just like a small baby, you lick the toe of your lotus foot. Purport. At the time of dissolution, the Lord sometimes appears as a small baby lying on a leaf of a banyan tree, floating on the devastating water. Therefore, Devahūti suggests, your lying down within the abdomen of a common woman like me is not so astonishing. You can lie down on the leaf of a banyan tree and float on the water of devastation as a small baby. It is not very wonderful, therefore, that you can lie down in the abdomen of my body. You teach us that those who are very fond of children within this material world, and who therefore enter into marriage to enjoy family life with children, can also have the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their child. And the most wonderful thing is that the Lord himself licks his toe. Since all the great sages and devotees apply all energy and all activities in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, there must be some transcendental pleasure in the toes of his lotus feet. The Lord licks his toe to taste the nectar for which the devotees always aspire. Sometimes the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself wonders how much transcendental pleasure is within himself. And in order to taste his own potency, he sometimes takes the position of tasting himself. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, but he appears as a devotee to taste the sweetness of the transcendental mellow in himself, which is tasted by Srimati Radharani, the greatest of all devotees. Tam Deha Tantra Pash. Oh, let me see if there are comments. One second. Yes. Thanks for these quantum physics at its finest. Thanks for these notes, Purnamahu. Tam Deha Tantra Prashamaya Papanam Nidesha Bhajam Cha Vibho Vibhutaye Yatavataras Tava Sukaradayas Tatayamapya Patma Patopalabdhaye. My dear Lord, you assumed this body in order to diminish the sinful activities of the fallen and to enrich their knowledge and devotion and liberation. Since these sinful people are dependent on your direction, by your own will you assume incarnations as a boar and as other forms. Similarly, you have appeared in order to distribute transcendental knowledge to your dependents. Purport. In the previous verses, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead were described. The specific purpose of the Lord upon the living entities, who are conditioned by the propensity to lord it over material nature. But in course of time, these living entities also become so degraded that they need enlightenment. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that whenever there are discrepancies in the discharge of the real purpose of this material existence, the Lord appears as an incarnation. The Lord's form as Kapila directs the fallen souls and enriches them with knowledge of devotion, so that they may go back to Godhead. There are many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like those of the boar, the fish, the tortoise, and the half-man, half-lion. Lord Kapila is also one of the incarnations of Godhead. It is accepted herein that Lord Kapila appeared on the surface of the earth to give transcendental knowledge to the misguided, conditioned souls. Yanamadeya Shravananukirtanan. Oh, this is a famous verse. Ya Pravanaryat Smaranarapi Kvachit Shradopi Sadya Savanaya Kalpate Kuta Punaste Bhagavan Nudarshanat. I wish I had time to learn all these verses. Anyhow, I do have time. There's always time. Anyhow, to say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face. Even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see this Supreme Person face to face. Even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. Once utters the holy name of Supreme Personality of God or chants about him, he who has passed himself as a place and says, sorry, I just wanted to read that twice. Purport. Herein the spiritual potency of chanting, hearing or remembering the holy name of the Supreme Lord is greatly stressed. Rupa Goswami has discussed the sequence of sinful activities of the conditioned soul, and he has established in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that those who engage in transcendental service become freed from the reactions of all sinful activities. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. The Lord says that he takes charge of one who surrenders unto him, and he makes him immune to all reactions to sinful activities. If by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes so swiftly cleared of all reactions to sinful activities, then what is to be said of those persons who see him face to face? Another consideration here is that persons who are purified by the process of chanting and hearing become immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. Generally, only a person who is born in a family of Brahmins, who has been reformed by the 10 kinds of purificatory processes, and who is learned in Vedic literature, is allowed to perform the Vedic sacrifices. But here the word sadhya, immediately, is used. And Sridhar Swami also remarks that one can immediately become eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. A person born in a family of the low caste, which is accustomed to eat dogs, is so positioned due to his past sinful activities. But by chanting or hearing, hearing once in pureness, or in an offenseless manner, he is immediately relieved of the sinful reaction. Not only is he relieved of the sinful reaction, but he immediately achieves the result of all purificatory processes. Taking birth in the family of a Brahmin is certainly due to pious activities in one's past life. But still, a child who is born in a family of a Brahmin depends for his further reformation upon the initiation into acceptance of a sacred thread and many other reformatory processes. But a person who chants the holy name of the Lord, even if born in a family of Chandals, dog eaters, does not need reformation. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna, he immediately becomes purified and becomes as good as the most learned Brahman. Sridhar Swami especially remarks in this connection, Anena pujyatvam lakshyate. Some caste Brahmins remark that by chanting Hare Krishna, purification begins. Of course, that depends on the individual process of chanting, but this remark of Sridhar Swami's is completely applicable if one chants the holy name of the Lord without offense, for he immediately becomes more than a Brahman. As Sridhar Swami says, Pujyatvam, he immediately becomes as respectable as a most learned Brahmin and can be allowed to perform Vedic sacrifices. If simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord one becomes sanctified instantly, then what can be said of those persons who see the Supreme Lord face to face and who understand the descent of the Lord, as Devahūti understands Kapika? Usually, initiation depends on the bona fide spiritual master who directs the disciple. If he sees that disciple has become competent and purified by the process of chanting, he offers the sacred thread to the disciple just so that he will be recognized as 100% equal with the Brahman. This is also confirmed in the Hari Bhakti Vilas by Sri Sanatana Goswami. As a base metal, like bell metal, can be changed into gold by a chemical process, any person can similarly be changed into a Brahman by Diksha Vidhan, the initiation process. It is sometimes remarked that by the chanting process, one begins to purify himself and can take birth in his next life in a Brahman family and then be reformed. But at this present moment, even those who are born in the best Brahman families are not reformed, nor is there any certainty that they are actually born of Brahman fathers. Formerly, the Garbhadan reformatory system was prevalent, but at the present moment there is no such Garbhadan or seed-giving ceremony. Under these circumstances, no one knows if a man is factually born of a Brahman father. Whether one has acquired the qualification of a Brahman depends on the judgment of the bona fide spiritual master. He bestows upon the disciple the position of a Brahman by his own judgment. When one is accepted as a Brahmin in the sacred thread ceremony under the Pancharatric system, then he is a Dvija, twice born. That is confirmed by Sanatan Goswami. Dvijatvam Jayate. By the process of initiation by the spiritual master, a person is accepted as a Brahmin in his purified state of chanting the holy name of the Lord. He then makes further progress to become a qualified Vaishnava, which means that the Brahminical qualification is already acquired. Oh, I know this one by heart. We learned this in Gurukul. Aho batasva pachato gariyanya jivagre vartate namatudyam te pustapaste juhubus nasurarya brahmana churnama grananti ete. Oh, glorious are they whose tongues are chanting your holy name. Even if born in the families of dog-eaters, such persons are worshipful. Persons who chant the holy name of your lordship must have executed all kinds of austerities and fire sacrifices, and achieved all the good manners of the Aryans. To be chanting the holy name of your lordship, they must have bathed at the holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required. Purport. As it is stated in the previous verse, a person who has once offenselessly chanted the holy name of God becomes immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. One should not be astonished by this statement of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. One should not disbelieve or think, how by chanting the holy name of the Lord can one become a holy man to be compared to the most elevated Brahman? To eradicate such doubts in the minds of unbelievers, this verse affirms that the stage of chanting the holy name of the Lord is not sudden, but that the chanters have already performed all kinds of Vedic rituals and sacrifices. It is not very astounding, for one in this life can chant the holy name of the Lord. For no one in this life can chant the holy name of the Lord unless he has passed all the lower stages, such as performing Vedic ritual sacrifices. Oh, God, I'm all of a sudden having a hard time reading. Unless he has passed all lower stages, such as performing the Vedic ritualistic sacrifices, studying the Vedas, and practicing good behavior like that of the Aryans. All this must first have been done. Just as a student in law class is to be understood to have already graduated from general education, anyone who is engaged in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, must have already passed all lower stages. It is said that those who simply chant the holy name with the tip of the tongue are glorious. One does not even have to chant the holy name and understand the whole procedure, namely the offensive stage, offenseless stage, and pure stage. If the holy name is sounded on the tip of the tongue, that is also sufficient. It is said herein that Nam, a singular number, one name, Krishna or Ram, is sufficient. It is not that one has to chant all the holy names of the Lord. The holy names of the Lord are innumerable, and one does not have to chant all the names to prove that he has already undergone all the processes of Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. If one chants once only, it is to be understood that he has already passed all the examinations, not to speak of those who are chanting always, 24 hours a day. It is specifically said here, Tubhyam, unto you only. One must chant God's name, not, as the Mayavadi philosophers say, any name, such as demigod's name or the names of God's energies. Only the holy name of the Supreme Lord will be effective. Anyone who compares the holy name of the Supreme Lord to the names of the demigods is called Pashandi, or an offender. The holy name has to be chanted to please the Supreme Lord, and not for any sense gratification or professional purpose. If this pure mentality is there, then even though a person is born of a low family, such as dog-eaters, he is so glorious that not only has he purified himself, but he is quite competent to deliver others. He is competent to speak on the importance of the transcendental name, just as Thakur Haridas did. He was apparently born in a family of Mohammedans, but because he was chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord offensively, Lord Chaitanya empowered him to become the authority, or acharya, of spreading the name. It did not matter that he was born in a family which was not following the Vedic rules and regulations. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Advaita Prabhu accepted him as an authority because he was offensively chanting the name of the Lord. Authorities like Advaita Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya immediately accepted that he had already performed all kinds of austerities, studied the Vedas, and performed all sacrifices. That is automatically understood. There is a hereditary class of Brahmins called the Smarta Brahmins, however, who are of the opinion that even if such persons who are chanting the holy name of the Lord are accepted as purified, they still have to perform the Vedic rites or await their next birth in a family of Brahmins so that they can perform the Vedic rituals. But actually, that is not the case. Such a man does not need to wait for the next birth to become purified. He is at once purified. It is understood that he has already performed all sorts of rites. It is the so-called Brahmins who actually have to undergo different kinds of austerities before reaching that point of purification. There are many other Vedic performances which are not described here. All such Vedic rituals have already been performed by the chanters of the holy name. The word Juhuvu means that the chanters of the holy name have already performed all kinds of sacrifices. Snasu means that they have already traveled to all the holy places of pilgrimage and taken part in purificatory activities at those places. They are called Arya because they have already finished all these requirements, and therefore they must be among the Aryans, who are those who have qualified themselves to become Aryans. Aryan refers to those who are civilized, whose manners are regulated according to the Vedic rituals. Any devotee who is chanting the holy name of the Lord is the best kind of Aryan. Unless one studies the Vedas, one cannot become an Aryan, but it is automatically understood that the chanters have already studied all the Vedic literature. The specific word used here is anuchu, which means that because they have already completed all those recommended acts, they have become qualified to be spiritual masters. Just curious what comes up in the dictionary for Aryan. The idea of being an Aryan was religious, cultural, and linguistic, not racial. Okay. The very word grananti, which is used in this verse, means to be already established in the perfectional stage of ritualistic performances. If one is situated on the bench of a high court and is giving judgment on cases, it means that he has already passed all legal exams and is better than those who are engaged in the study of law or those who are expecting to study law in the future. In a similar way, persons who are chanting the holy name are transcendental to those who are factually performing the Vedic rituals and those who expect to be qualified. Or in other words, those born in the family of Brahmins but have not yet undergone the reformatory processes, and who therefore expect to study the Vedic rituals and perform the sacrifices in the future. There are many Vedic statements in different places saying that anyone who chants the holy name of the Lord becomes immediately freed from the conditional life, and that anyone who hears the holy name of the Lord, even though born of a family of dog eaters, also becomes liberated from the clutches of material entanglement. Tam tamaham brahma param pumangsam pratyakshrutasyattmani samvibhavyam satejasa thasta guna prabhaham vande vishnum kapilam vedagarbham. I believe, my Lord, that you are Lord Vishnu himself under the name of Kapila, and you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Brahman. The saints and sages, being freed from all the disturbances of the senses and mind, meditate upon you, For by your mercy only can one become free from the clutches of the three modes of material nature. At the time of dissolution, all the Vedas are sustained in you only. Purport. Devahūti, the mother of Kapila, instead of prolonging her prayers, summarized that Lord Kapila was none other than Vishnu, and that since she was a woman, it was not possible for her to worship him properly simply by prayer. It was her intention that the Lord be satisfied. The word pratyak is significant. In yogic practice, the 8 divisions are yam, niyam, asam, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. Pratyahara means to wind up the activities of the senses. The level of realization of the Supreme Lord evidenced by Devahūti is possible when one is able to withdraw the senses from material activities. When one is engaged in devotional service, there is no scope for his senses to be engaged otherwise. In such full Krishna consciousness, one can understand the Supreme Lord as he is. Maitreya uvacha idito bhagavane vam kapilakya parapuman vacha viklavayityaha matara matrivatsala. Thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kapila, satisfied by the words of his mother, towards whom he was very affectionate, replied with gravity. Purport. Since the Lord is all perfect, his exhibition of affection for his mother was also complete. After hearing the words of his mother, he most respectfully, with due gravity and good manners, replied. Hari Bol Ganga Didi, Dandavad Pranam. Kapila Uvacha Margenane Namataste Suseveno Ditena Me Astitena Param Kashtam Ajirata Avarotyasi. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear mother, the path of self-realization, which I have already instructed to you, is very easy. You can execute this system without difficulty, and by following it, you shall very soon be liberated, even within your present body. Purport. Devotional service is so perfect that simply by following the rules and regulations and executing them under the direction of the spiritual master, one is liberated. As it is said herein, one is liberated, as it is said herein, from the clutches of Maya, even in this body. In other yogic processes, or in empiric philosophical speculation, one is never certain whether or not he is at the perfectional stage. But in the discharge of devotional service, if one has unflinching faith in the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master and follows the rules and regulations, he is sure to be liberated, even within this present body. Srila Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has also confirmed this. Iha yasya harer dasye. Regardless of where he is situated, anyone whose only aim is to serve the Supreme Lord under the direction of the spiritual master is called Jivan Mukta, or one who is liberated even with his material body. Sometimes doubts arise in the minds of neophytes about whether or not the spiritual master is liberated, and sometimes neophytes are doubtful about the bodily affairs of the spiritual master. The point of liberation, however, is not to see the bodily symptoms of the spiritual master. One has to see the spiritual symptoms of the spiritual master. Jivan Mukta means that even though one is in the material body, there are still some material necessities, since the body is material. Because one is fully situated in the service of the Lord. Because one is fully situated in the service of the Lord, he should be understood to be liberated. Liberation entails being situated in one's own position. That is the definition in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Muktir Nam. What is it? Anyways, Muktir Tatata Sarupena Vyavastiti. The Sarup, or actual identity of the living entity, is described by Lord Chaitanya. Jiver Sarupa hoy Krishnera Nityadas. The real identity of the living entity is that he is eternally a servitor of the Supreme Lord. If someone is 100% engaged in the service of the Lord, he is to be understood as liberated. He must understand whether or not he is liberated by his activities in devotional service, not by other symptoms. What verse are we reading up to? Just checking really quick. 12. Okay, so 2 more verses. Shradat svaitan matam mahyam jushtam yar brahmavadibi yena mam abhayam yaya mrityum richantatadvita. My dear mother, those who are actually transcendentalists certainly follow my instructions as I have given them to you. You may rest assured that if you traverse this path of self-realization perfectly, surely you shall be freed from the fearful material contamination and shall ultimately reach me. Mother, persons who are not conversant with this method of devotional service certainly cannot get out of the cycle of birth and death. Purport. Material existence is full of anxiety, and therefore it is fearful. One who gets out of this material existence automatically becomes free from all anxieties and fear. One who follows the path of devotional service enunciated by Lord Kapila is very easily liberated. Maitreya uvacha iti pradashya bhagavan satim tam atmano gatim samatra brahmavadinya kapilo no mato yayo. Sri Maitreya said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila, after instructing his beloved mother, took permission from her and left his home, his mission having been fulfilled. Purport. The mission of the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Kapila was to distribute the transcendental knowledge of Sankhya philosophy, which is full of devotional service. Having imparted that knowledge to his mother, and through his mother to the world, Kapila had no more need to stay at home, so he took permission from his mother and left. Apparently, he left home for spiritual realization, although he had nothing to realize spiritually, because he himself is the person to be spiritually realized. Therefore, this is an example set by the Supreme Personality of Godhead while acting like an ordinary human being, so that others might learn from him. He could, of course, have stayed with his mother, but he indicated that there was no need to stay with the family. It is best to remain alone as a brahmachari, sannyasi, or vanaprastha, and cultivate Krishna consciousness throughout one's whole life. Those who are unable to remain alone are given license to live in household life with wife and children, not for sense gratification, but for cultivation of Krishna consciousness. All right, so let's see, how much more do we have left in this chapter? We're a bit less than halfway. I wonder if I should read more. We still have 15. Let me check what's the next part. I think not. We'll just read again tomorrow. Because verses 13 to 32, Devahūti achieved perfection, and then 33 to 35, activities. Yeah, that's a lot of verses. And then, yeah, so tomorrow we'll read about, let me just take off the video. Tomorrow we'll read about Devahūti achieving perfection, her practice, bhakti, intense austerities, detachment, meditation on the Lord's form, and her achievements, bliss due to destruction of samsara, samadhi. She attains the Lord at Siddhapad, and her purified body became a sacred river. Wow, her body became a sacred river. And then Kapila Dev, he went towards the northeast. He went to Ganga Sagar. Even now he stays there in trance for the deliverance of the three worlds. I've been to Gangasagar. Falls true to me. One who hears or teaches this knowledge attains the Lord's lotus feet and abode. Cool. I love when there's a benediction given at the end of a thing, at the end of a chapter. All right. So tomorrow will be our last reading for until Gaur Purnima time. So what is that? Yeah, so we'll have like a 9-day break, or maybe a 10-day break. Yeah, 9 or 10-day break, and then and I think the day after tomorrow, maybe if it's not too crazy here, maybe I'll read something about the glories of Navadvip Dham to get us in the mood for Navadvip Kirtana. All right, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much for sticking with me today, even though today I was a little bit not as focused and couldn't get through it smoothly. All right. Today I'm supposed to be finishing this book. We're doing this book in Bengali. And today's supposed to be my last day. I'm probably gonna have to do it again tomorrow. I'm probably not gonna finish today, but today's the last day to send in all the texts to be laid out. And now everybody's starting to arrive in Navadvip, but I might have to move out of my room today also, actually. Anyhow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Thanks for joining, Rukmini. I always feel embarrassed when Rukmini's here. I don't know why. But I'm happy when she's here also. I'm happy to be with her. So. Okay. Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Juki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Juki Jai Nitil Vishtam Vishnupar Ashtatara Shatashmat Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Sai Maharaj Shila Gurudev Ki Jai Nitil Vishtam Vishnupar Ashtatara Shatashmat Shila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Sai Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Vishtam Vishnupar Ashtatara Shatashmat Shila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Sai Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Vishtam Vishnupar Ashtatara Shatashmat Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Vishtam Vishnupar Ashtatara Shatashmat Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Vishtam Vishnupar Ashtatara Shatashmat Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Vishtam Mahabhagavat Shila Bhakti Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Vishtam Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nitil Vishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupa Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Shrimad Sharada Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai Nama Chai Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shikshetra Mandala, Gora Mandala, Vaja Mandala, Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishyaprati Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radhakan Shyamakant Ki Jai Shri Mona Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Purnamasi Gamaya Ki Jai Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Anantapati Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Oh, I didn't say. Itil Pavishtam Vishupad Ashatara Shatashman Srila Bhakti Bhagavad Tirtha Gosai Maharaj ki jai. Itil Pavishtam Vishupad Ashatara Shatashman Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Gosai Maharaj ki jai. Hey. Dandavat pranams. Thank you, Indira Mataji. Thank you for doing the rule. Dandavat pranams. See you all tomorrow.